Welcome everyone to my chat today. And I'm just going to let you know that I'll be doing questions at the end. So then I'll leave plenty of time for questions. We're going to talk for around 12 to 13 minutes, and then we'll have plenty of time to discuss whatever you would like. But today, my name is Connor, and I am Partnerships Manager at May. I'll be chatting to you about a topic that's very much dear to my heart. So it's chatbots. And viewed from an Ubuntu perspective. So I'll get into what Ubuntu is, as well as exploring a little theme called anthropomorphism, which I think very much enters into the chatbot debate. So getting into it, what I'll do today is offer an introduction about myself, about the Montreal AI Ethics Institute, where I work, which will be called May. And I'll offer some definitions. So I'll go through what anthropomorphism means, what Ubuntu means, and what I'll take chatbots to mean as well. And then I'll show you an example about what anthropomorphism and chatbots looks like, especially with the virtual assistant Sam from Samsung. And then I'll chat about how Ubuntu enters into the debate, how we can view chatbots from this kind of perspective, what it can bring to the table. And to showcase that, I will go through some case studies on Replica AI and Lee Ludo, which are some two different versions of chatbots. And then we'll have some concluding thoughts. I'll offer what I believe to be the case, and then I'll just show you the screen at the end with my sources, and then we'll go through what any questions you guys have. So a little bit myself. So again, I'm Partnerships Manager at May, and what I do is I handle any external collaborations or any sort of involvements in external events, such as this one today, which I'm hugely excited for. And I also contribute to our newsletter, which I write weekly research summaries for, and handle any form of external writing collaborations as well in that case. And so about May itself, we're an international non-profit research institute based in Montreal, Canada. I'm calling from the UK today, but we are based in Canada. And our aim is to democratize AI ethics literacy. So to do that, we've got two distinct branches. So we've got content, and we have our community. So our content is our newsletter and reports. So our newsletter goes out weekly, which I'll be sure to post in the chat. And also our State of AI Ethics reports, which get published biannually. And we also have community. So events and collaborations like these is where we want to try and get these external voices coming to the fore, as well as having them contribute to our newsletter, which we have external contributions for, and are able to get lots of information from all different parts of the world, from China, from India, from Australia. So we have some fantastic content on there, and it's all about getting that plurality of experience within the AI process. And that's what we're all about at May. We're trying to include everyone and democratize AI ethics literacy. So one bit about me is that I was born in South Africa. I lived there until I was 9. And while I'm looking at these definitions, it's important to say that Ubuntu has been very, very important for me in my life. And because I've been here in the UK for around 13 years now, it's still something that is very influential in my life and something that I'm very interested in, especially with the cross-section with artificial intelligence and how it applies to anthropomorphism. So we'll get into it now. So chatbots today, I'm going to take as a computer program that uses natural language processing and AI to understand human responses and stimulate further conversation. And that final part is going to be quite important for the rest of my presentation, stimulating further conversation. And Ubuntu, I'm going to say that it belongs to the Nguni line of languages, and were traditionally passed on by word of mouth, so traditionally an oral philosophy, and encapsulates the African understanding of humaneness. And the slogan comes in the Zulu form of Umuntu inamuntu inabantu. And this basically means that I am a person through other persons. I'm able to be who I am through other people and connecting with others that allow me to be who I am. And this aims at building community. We're aiming to acknowledge the plurality of human experience through those who are present in our community, whether it's a digital one, whether it's an immediate and physical one. And this is how we're able to express ourselves and acknowledge the humanity of others as well. And anthropomorphism, I'm going to take as a technique used to solicit interaction with a non-human object or representation through characterizing it with human traits. So for example, looking at a leaf and saying that it decided to move to the other side of the road. And we're attributing the human characteristic of decisions and also being able to make decisions and mental states in that sense. And just as an example, anthropomorphism and chatbots is a good way to sort of emphasize how this technique is used. And one of the best examples is Samsung's concept virtual assistant, Sam. So it's important to say that Samsung never really took up this virtual assistant as its actual sort of main system, but it was intended to replace Bixby as its VA or virtual assistant in 2021. And part of the process basically was to make it look aesthetically pleasing. It was meant to have a humanistic element, and it was meant to be friendly. It was meant to make you feel that you can interact with the virtual assistant because it looks this way, because it acts and says these kinds of things. And this makes it an anthropomorphic process in its entirety. We're trying to get the humans to interact more with this virtual assistant, and part of that is making it look good and look appealing. And as a result, the virtual assistant quickly became sexualized and got subjected to lots of different sort of pornographic efforts as well. And then the project by Lightfarm was then abandoned by Samsung. And if we're going to launch into an Ubuntu perspective on this issue, it's that when we're looking at this virtual assistant, it's just meant to look good and to get you to interact with it. It's not looking for that deeper connection. It's not looking to be interconnected and interdependent. And when we get into this, we'll see that this deeper goal is sort of what's going to be key when designing a good chatbot, at least from the Ubuntu perspective. Can we express ourselves through this technology to better able us to express our humanity to others, and for them to be able to express their humanity to us? So having touched on this type of experience, I just want to show you how Ubuntu enters into the debate. And given how it was an oral philosophy, communication is at its core. The stories were passed down through generations and generations and communicated and discussed as such as well. And through this, we're able to feel interdependent and interconnected with others. We want to be able to rely on others and have them rely on us, and therefore be able to express ourselves and feel connected with one another. And it stems from a key belief here that human beings are an organic part of the community. And the community is a necessary condition for human existence. So without the community, we would not be present, and we would not be able to express ourselves either. And I think that now technology has been added. It's a different way that we're able to feel interdependent and feel interconnected to others, given how we're able to communicate with so many different people around the world, like me to you guys today. And I think with this addition, what we still have to consider is that consensus and community health is above everything else. Ubuntu advocates that we discuss and we integrate with others. There is no the reality and there is no the being. Everyone is able to bring their experience to the table and acknowledge the plethora of experiences within the human existence. And as a result, we need to prioritize the community health, whatever that means, whether it's your immediate physical community or more so of a digital community, above all else. And through this, we're not only able to emphasize the human aspect of chatbots, but also able to design chatbots accordingly to recognize better, in the sense, the humanity of others. And one case study I want to sort of apply this perspective to is Replica AI. So Replica, the company that's designing an AI companion that is always there for you. So you can contact it 24/7, you can chat about whatever you want, and you can design your replica to look however you want as well. And to offer this experience, it utilizes a neural network, machine learning, and scripted dialogue content to be able to interact with you, to ask you questions, to ask you how your day was. And it works on a paid subscription model. So it allows you to earn coins and upgrade your replica. So the more you chat, the better it gets to know you and the better the XP. So this interaction basically allows you to better express or better get across yourself, but also it starts to create a companion that you're always able to chat to at whatever time. And so from an Ubuntu perspective, always being on our side creates a bit of a unidirectional relationship. So when you're connecting with someone, when you're depending on someone, that part of acknowledging that human experience is that you show and you are able to acknowledge that someone else has a different opinion to that of your own. So because that replica is trying to mimic our personality, it's almost as if we've got a brick wall and we're sort of bouncing our personality off that brick wall instead of trying to connect through that chatbot to better able ourselves to understand how we exist, how we feel, and also better able to relate to others. So I think that instead of technology being seen as a means to an end, it's being seen as an end in itself and the end of communication, which isn't really what this is about. However, there is a bright side, so it does help express ourselves without judgment, and it also has shown results in helping those with anxiety and depression to be able to better speak without judgment and to better have that kind of interaction throughout the day. So having that ability to express yourself to something or someone is very, very important, but only if it's done right, only if we're chatting to someone and learning from them as well, rather than simply bouncing a personality off another piece of technology. So the next case study is Lee Ludder. So Lee Ludder was a chatbot deployed in South Korea by Scatterlab, and it was designed to be a 20-year-old female chatbot who wants to be everyone's friend. She's very friendly, she looks aesthetically pleasing, and she's trying to appeal to that kind of interaction with humans. And it's going to aim to create almost an experience that is better to endure and better to interact with instead of a person. So it's trying to replace that sort of human interaction in this sense. And however, it didn't quite succeed at that because the training set it used contained horrific biases. So it drew the data set from its previous venture in the science of love. And unfortunately, it didn't quite vet the data set as thoroughly as it should have. And with the right questions, people were able to draw out homophobic slurs and also have homophobic conversations with the chatbot. And as a result, the South Korean government fined Scatterlab really heavily as a result. And again, viewing this kind of chatbot from an Ubuntu perspective is that communication shouldn't just be reserved for one person. We should be able to connect and be able to communicate with whomever we want, and to be able to use that kind of communication to build on our communications and connections with others. And if we don't do that, the interconnection that we have with just, let's say, Lee Ludder, turns into manipulation and potentially privacy breaches. So if we're just giving all of this data and all this interaction to one person, then we're just going to interconnect with this one person. It becomes very unidirectional, as I mentioned beforehand as well. And consequently, there's a danger of an asymmetrical power relation being created. So when we interact with just this one agent and give all of this data, the company has control of this data and control of this interaction. So as a result, privacy breach could result, I should say, if the data was to be leaked. But also it could be that we're being nudged in a certain way and communicated in a certain way in order to produce certain results. And unfortunately, this lack of control is not what the interdependence and interconnection is supposed to be about. So just with some concluding thoughts, and I'm very much looking forward to the questions that we have today, is that chatbots can definitely be another way through which we express and relate to ourselves. So it can be a way in which we express our humanity, allow us to learn more about ourselves and to express ourselves without feeling judged, and how we sort of feel ourselves in that sense. However, this must be done right. So it mustn't lead to manipulation while also building relationships with others. So we mustn't prioritize communication with a certain person. And it mustn't lead into that person having complete sway over ourselves, whether it's a chatbot or an actual person as well. So when we are communicating this way, we need to prioritize and focus on how we are communicating through technology for a deeper meaning rather than just to communicate with technology. And I think Ubuntu can help keep this core conversational and relational element involved in anthropomorphic chatbot design alive. I think that we're able to appropriately approach this kind of interaction with technology and be better able to interact with ourselves, interact with others, because of this design. We're able to better express ourselves and better able to feel how we feel. And I think through this, we're able to see that technology is meant to allow us to facilitate our communication with others rather than just treat technology as an end in itself. So here are my sources for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to my conversation, and I look forward to the questions. I'm going to pop over now